this guy a microphone over here.
Live Crawford client. Well, we had this case together, and Crawford has the nerve to stand up and tell the jury that they shouldn't listen to me. They shouldn't award $35,000 in medical bills. And then in his exalted opinion, the medical bills are $20,000. And I said to him, ladies and gentlemen, I get it, right? He's from Buell, he's got the cowboy boots, he's so down to earth, it hurts. You do not put your trust in this guy. And they didn't. They awarded the medical bills of $300. We've had a lot of fun. Pat and I had a case one time that I represented somebody who had been an opener for Wayne Newton. It's kind of a weird case, a medical malpractice case. So I put up my discovery stuff that Wayne Newton was going to be, he was my lead witness. And in the old days, you could get entered the, what was it called, Outlook Express, and you could embed an audio file you couldn't turn off. So I just had one email that I sent her all the time. It had a picture of Wayne Newton. It had the music, I have some red roses for a blue lady. And the subject was, you can run, but you can't hide. And, you know, when I started practice with Nevin, you know, I mean, all right. Here again, yeah, he's a great guy. He's so smart and everything, you know. And was a great law student, and I was kind of like an idiot law student. He was always coming in and taking the air out of my cases because he, you know, he was always like all hung up on like, well, what about the law? What about the facts? And plus, it wasn't enough that you even had the law and facts. You had to have them in these damn little neat folders. And so finally I got this poster, and it was great. It was Albert Einstein, and it said, imagination is more important than knowledge. And I was just kind of like, and not only did I not know the law, but one time in front of McLaughlin here, I went in, I don't know if you remember this, but I didn't really, but you know, I didn't know that much about the law, and I didn't have the terminology very well. So I'm talking to the jury, and I'm trying to explain how important the right to trial by jury is. And I said to him, you know, and as a matter of fact, under Idaho's Constitution and the U.S. Constitution, the judge is incompetent to try this case. Yeah. During the break, he suggested to me that perhaps I could word that a little bit. I know it's interesting. I appreciate the comments and courage. I don't think there's probably more chicken shit lawyer that ever lived than me. I am afraid to death that I'll fail my clients, and that keeps me going. I'm glad for that. But I do think this. One of the quotes that I do love the most is Katzakis and Zorba the Greek, and he has Zorba say, a man needs a little madness, or he never dares cut the rope and be free. And so I thank God for a little bit of madness and all the pals that I've had and laughs that I've had that help me keep it afloat, and that I've gotten by this far with very little knowledge.
Last night it was, I ended up in McCall skiing, and I was with some clients last night, and I was going to prepare last night, but we spent time last night sitting around and laughing about screwing people over and stuff like that. This is truly, I mean, on ITLA and ATLA, I mean, this is truly a great honor. This is a fabulous organization. I mean, I truly mean that. And many times I've had that application on my desk to apply to become a member of ITLA, and I always stumble over that first question, you know, the one about do you believe in justice? And I got to admit, I mean, and this is a true story. I do when I'm amongst friends and people who are outside the practice of law, I do stand up for plaintiffs' lawyers. You guys do take a lot of crap. I mean, and the truth of the matter is there are a lot of things for which we thank plaintiffs' lawyers for. We have a safer workplace. Our workers have safer workplaces. We have safer products. We have safer roads. I wear Italian suits and have drag. And I mean, at the end of the day, you do it. I use the Jason term at the end of the day. I mean, you do have to admit, and we have to admit as part of what we do, there are negligent drivers. There are bad people out there. There are bad adjusters. There are unfeeling and punitive insurance carriers. There are negligent doctors. There are negligent truck drivers. Brassy and I call these people our base. You know, to specifically respond to some of the people that talked tonight, I mean, Jeff Hepworth. Do you mind? He was a liar. Well known to make stuff up. I will tell you this, though. I mean, years ago, this is probably 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I went through a client interview where a client was asking me, you know, they went through the deal of, do you want to do our work, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then at the time, they had a case going against Jeff, and they said, you know Jeff Hepworth? And I said, yeah. And I said, what can you tell us about him? And I said, you know, I've never known a guy who's been beaten up more times by his friends. He tells the truth. We did get into a lot of trouble, and there are a lot of brushes with the law, sheriffs, those kinds of things, jail. But you know, the thing about it is that Jeff and I always shared one thing. Whenever we got into trouble, it was never, God, what is my dad going to say about this? It was never about, God, Jeff, what is your dad going to say about this? I mean, what are we going to hear from our fathers? No, it was always, what is that sanctimonious prick Charlie? Something. I mean, I consider this a great honor to be involved, and particularly be involved with someone like Breck, who I've had 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many trials with, but it goes right up there with an honor that I received fairly young in my life, which was that we had this group that went down to Phoenix to go to baseball spring training. We did that 4 or 5 years in a row, and on one occasion I was voted the lawyer second most likely to use the F word in a sentence, and truly this is a sad day to recognize the fact that Mickey Turnbull did pass away this last summer, and apparently I am now number 1. I will say this, and I do want to recognize this about Breck. I consider him one of the finest lawyers that I've ever tried a case against. I do that. I consider him a great friend. He is extremely articulate, and I say this in all seriousness. He is extremely articulate. He's very smart. He's very fast on his feet. because he has to, because it's a good guess that by the end of the first day he will finally figure out how to work his computer. He does. And I do say this truly, and I mean that as a joke, but I mean every time I try a case, I rejoice when he pulls that out. But he does have, and that whole thing about courage, he is not changed it. This guy won't stop. I mean, sometimes it's sickening. It's like, come on, stop. Please. But I mean, one thing that I can guarantee you is that Breck and I, every day, we sit down, we get on our knees, and we say the same prayer, which is, please, Lord, get rid of that statutory cap on damages. I don't see any of my clients here. I gotta address. I mean, some of the things that my partner Brassy said. Andy Brassy has truly been one of the best partners anybody could ever have for 20 years. I mean, who else would put up with that guy for 20 years? and most of the time, he talks about the time that I got into a fight with the one partner. For 20 years, I've been trying to keep him from killing one or the other of any of our partners. We'll go unnamed. He and I think, and one of the other great things that I've done over the years, I mean, besides practice law, try a lot of cases, and have a fairly good victory record, is trying to keep him on task. Because I think we have both developed late onset of ADHD. He is truly, he truly is one of the greatest, he is one of the best damn trial lawyers in the state of Idaho. But one of the things that and some of you will understand this, one of the things that goes unheralded in his practice is he is the greatest, the absolute greatest, hands down, at getting an extension. He sneers at a mere 3 extensions. That's child's play. True genius is when you can get 4, 5, 6, even 7, and the other side is happy. But he has truly been, one of the best partners that anybody could possibly have over the last 20 years. And one of the greatest things that I've wanted to do in the last 20 years is practice with a truly great lawyer. And finally this year in January we did when we hired John Nagel. The only thing I want to say about Jason, and Jason and I have gone the rounds, and I consider him a great friend. And I consider him a great lawyer. And I will just say that is the absolutely evidence that truly great lawyering and orange sunshine go together. I love that guy. Finally, there are so many people that, to get here, I'd recognize my wife is the greatest thing I ever did in my life. She truly is. And I've been blessed with great people in my life. Every time I look at Jeff, I laugh. I do love that guy. I love that guy, even though he tells a lot of stories. But my wife, she's from Wendell, I'm from Buell. She recognizes my trailer trash tendencies, and that's been a great thing. And I love her. Thank you so much.